You're listening to The Rack Show on VoxVii.com. Join Conrad.
Compared to a lot of other people, I'm very weak, but I'm super plucky, so I try.
And Lucas.
I call upon chaos spirits to grant death.
And Lucas missed.
I did not miss. That bunk bed, dead.
As they take geek culture off the shelf and show it to you.
It still looks goofy from the outside.
But it's so fun that you don't care.
You don't care.
The Rack Show. Geek culture at its best.
Hello and welcome to a very special edition of The Rack Show, which you can find on therackshow.com. This is episode...
Sorry, Conrad.
This is episode 2. Sorry, this is... See, now you messed me up. This is season 2, episode 15 of The Rack.
In video. Woo! Live with video.
Yeah.
We're here at DetCon 1. This is pretty awesome, eh?
We sure are. We're at the Renaissance Center in Detroit for DetCon 1. We're actually in the Ven room. I don't know if you can see behind us. We got the lovely ladies from the Ties That Bind.
If we could just pan over to these guys or something.
We got
like that.
Shop Trolls over here.
That's Ties That Bind.
They're great. War Pony Forge over there. They do some confectionery treats. And then in the background we have Dodeca Records as well.
There's a lot more than that. That's just what we saw.
It's what we could see. What you can see.
Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. We have a great show.
Yeah, we do.
Show.
It's going to be amazing. I'm actually very excited about it.
First person we're going to have is Saladin Ahmed. I hope I said that right.
I think he'll correct you if you don't. But he's a local author.
Yes, he does. He writes fantasy, and he's very interesting because it's not in the England-ish, UK-ish
He takes you around the world.
No, not this one. That's the other guy. Oh. This guy does it in the Middle East.
Sorry.
So it's like wizards in the Middle East, not like of the coast.
I can't believe you just said that.
What else we have?
I was going to make a joke about Wizards of Waverly Place, too. But
I don't think they will. Brandon may get that. Hi, Brandon.
Anyway, Dinah Foe is actually going to be with us as well. She is TOR Book Publishing steampunk editor. She's an extraordinaire. We're very excited to have her.
Yes, and we're going to have Stephen Harper on. He wrote a steampunk series. It's very amazing. He's done some other books, too. I love how he takes steampunk out of England on his second book, and it goes across the world. That's the one you were talking about.
This is the one I was talking
about. It's absolutely amazing. He goes, and we'll double check with him later, but I believe he goes, England's the first book, then it goes France, Ukraine.
You said Hungary when you were talking to me, or no?
It's Ukraine or Hungary or something like that. It's one of those. It's like half Russia, half Poland at the time.
We will find out.
It's pretty awesome. We're going to talk to him about that. And
then we're going to have Tom Smith on. He is a sci-fi fantasy performer, kind of like Weird Al, does some book stuff. He also was on Dr. Demento, just like Weird Al as well. So we're going to have some music, actually. I think the first time ever The Rack is going to have an actual musical guest playing music.
We're moving on up.
Right, moving on up.
And if we're really, really lucky, we might have a special guest if we can fit him in at the very end. But we're not going to tell you who he is
just in case.
In case we can't get to him. But I was here yesterday. You were working.
I was working. I couldn't make it. And actually, right after this, I have to go back to work.
I actually was here with our new associate producer, Jomar. You've heard him on the show before. He was on last episode, and he's been on a couple other episodes.
He's a big damn deal, and he helps us. Yeah, big damn deal.
And
so
look, he comes on as associate producer, we have video, just like that. That's
Boosh.
How good he is.
The very first episode.
I also want to do a shout out to Brian. Brian, what's your last name?
Bohana.
Bohana is on cameras, just so you know, so we want to do a shout out to him. So thank you guys for being here and helping us out with the con. Okay, so the con was really awesome.
I'm also not going to forget about Corey, who's not here, but we love him anyway. Sorry, go ahead. Oh, I messed you up. Uh-oh. I broke Lucas.
1 second, I just got a text coming in. Oh, it's just my bank. They said...
We don't need the text. That's
anyways,
literally... his phone is just there to hear if it's actually Justin Bieber ringtone, if he gets a call. That's the only reason why it's there.
So I went to some of the parties, but actually when we got here, we got goodie bags. Want to go...
We do.
He hasn't opened up his goodie bag.
I just got here. I'm in...
So let's get through this.
Yes, I'm in the midst of doing the show. So, very first thing I'm pulling out is a DetCon schedule book, which is great. I also have a scavenger hunt. That's cool. I'll have to do that a little bit later on. We got a sticker, DET. That's really nice. We got books.
Can we bring this camera in on us?
We got the Barsoom Project from Larry Niven and Stephen Barnes. That's cool. We have more books. We have David Weber, Off Armageddon Reef. We also have another book, which is The Omen Machine by Terry Goodkind. I'm in between books too, so I'm really excited. We have a CD. We have the Valley Wind Quintet celebrating 20 years. That'll be cool. I'm actually a former choir guy myself, so that's going to be neat. We have another book. We have The Liminal People by, oh wow, I can't say that name. What's that name?
Aiz Jama Everett.
Aiz Jama Everett. That's going to be cool. We have that's a program, a collector's program.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Let's see, anything else in here? We got another program. And we have Harley Quinn over there, which is awesome. And I believe that's it. A decent haul, and like I said, I just got done reading. Gosh. Oh, the book that I reviewed.
We reviewed on the last show. It went out today.
Miss Peregrine's
because I forgot to put it out. Sorry guys. It went out this morning. If you want to put that away, I'll tell. We're gonna right before we get to our first guest, I was at the what's it called? The Sweet Parties. They had 2 floors of Sweet Parties here at the Renaissance Center Marriott. Is that where we're at? Okay, so there's Sweet. I'm talking to our
Jomar's
producer.
off camera.
Yeah. So they were awesome. Jomar and myself, along with 2 of our interns, we did the party scene, and I want to do a shout out. There's a couple things I want to do. I want to do a shout out to, I believe it was DC 17. They're making a bid right now for the World Science Fair to be in Washington DC. We would love to be there.
It'd be amazing.
It would be awesome. And that was my stomping ground for about a year, and I love it. Who else to do a shout out to? Is it the Slain Shack? Was it Slain Shack? Slant Shack.
You know what?
Slant Shack. It was really
Tell
awesome.
you what, Jomar, just come here. Come sit down.
Yeah, come on in here, Jomar.
Come sit down for a second.
Here's
That
our
way you
producer.
guys
Give him a
can
hand,
talk.
guys.
Yay! Here's the producer.
Slant Shack. Jerry at the Slant Shack. You're doing an amazing job. I loved the tour yesterday. It was a lot of fun. And we had some of their craft beers.
Yes.
And go look up Slant Shack. It's very interesting. The first one here was in Battle Creek. It's still standing, but somebody else lives in the house. Slant Shacks are like where a bunch of fans live together.
Yes.
It's pretty cool.
It's nice. It's
pretty cool.
It's pretty convenient.
She did a little thing for us yesterday. We didn't get it on video or anything, but you know, it was cool. We're gonna probably go back to that party tonight. Also,
there's
this one, but I want to do that one last.
Okay.
What else was there?
Well, aside from DC, there's also Helsinki.
Helsinki, they're making a bid.
Also a bid to 17.
Nolo, I want to shout out to Nolo. They're doing the
Nolo.
2018 bid for the World's Fair. I support that because Nolo, I just got back from, as you know, and they have wonderful food.
There's that the tech. What was that called? Oh man, there's a tech.
I can't help you at
There's
all.
been a bunch.
I wasn't
It was
here,
crazy
so.
because they all were having fun and dancing. I gotta be sort of favoritism here. Barfleet.
Show off the Barfleet.
And here's something you don't do at Barfleet. When the captain says, "Let's do a shot," and he pulls out this vial.
Say yes.
Yeah, you should say yes, but make sure you're not driving. I didn't drive last night, so we were good. I think it was called Hammer of the Gods.
Yes.
And
that's what it's called.
I was probably like a quarter way through. we had 3 quarters left of all the parties to attend.
Yes.
And I was a
we were
quarter way
just, like,
through,
the
and I did the
beginning.
shot, and that was my night. That was it. From the rest of the night, I was sort of just
One shot.
being babysat.
Yeah, one shot.
it was
and
fun.
He was gone.
I was getting text messages from him. That's how.
It really was the
yeah.
Hammer of the Gods. So thank you to the captains and friends at Barfleet. You guys did an amazing job tonight. Look forward to seeing you again at the room parties or the sweet parties tonight.
Also, the Rack Show is an advocate of safe drinking and driving, so
Be
please be
responsible.
responsible
And don't hit
if you
anybody.
were to imbibe legally, obviously.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jomar, for sitting down
Thank
with us.
you, Jomar.
Appreciate that.
Jomar,
I think
you-
he's swapping seats, I believe.
Yeah, so
Yes.
we're gonna bring in Saladin Ahmed.
Saladin, did we say
Saladin.
that? Saladin. Okay.
Come on in and
So yeah, I knew he would correct us. All right. Thank you, sir, for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take a load off. And sorry about that. I saw Aladdin with an S, and
Oh,
it was
it's
my
fine.
fault.
Well-
I Americanized it,
Oh,
so
you know,
I'm taking
it's
the
funny
full
because
blame.
Actually, like in Arabic, Aladdin's name is Aladdin.
Aladdin.
So it is Americanized.
So it is. It is
Okay.
basically Aladdin with an S in the front of it.
So I was kind of right.
Very cool. So you wrote a book, and you're local.
I did write a book, and I'm local. Yeah.
And I want to say, I saw the book. You have the book on you?
Gosh, that would have been a good idea.
That would have been awesome.
I don't have the book on.
Is it
No.
anywhere close?
No, it's not.
Because we could have sent
It's
Jomar to go
probably
get
at
it.
one of the bookstores.
It's okay.
somewhere Here, but
You paint worlds with words. I'm sure
It's
you
a
can do
beautiful
it justice by
cover,
just telling
too.
us about it.
yes. The book is called Throne of the Crescent Moon. It came out in 2012 from Daw Books.
It happens.
And it's a epic fantasy.
Okay.
But it's very unique.
In some ways, I guess. I hope. Yeah, it's set in a kind of Middle Eastern setting, a made-up world, but based on the sort of medieval Middle East instead of the typical medieval Europe analog. And at the same time, so that influences the culture of the world and influences the characters. There are some other things that are different about it. The main character is a 60-something-year-old old fat guy who's ready to retire and doesn't want to fight monsters anymore. So instead of the typical young, dashing hero, but in some other ways, it's
When fantasy characters retire, do they? We have people walking in our shop. Do they?
It's happened before.
Do they collect
your
Social
fez,
Security?
brother.
How does it work in the fantasy world?
They get Social Security.
In the medieval,
No,
Middle Eastern fantasy world, yes. Do they get Social Security?
they do not get Social Security.
What do they do for
and,
retirement?
Well, that's actually part of the thing. So
Is it
the other
really?
thing that's different about these books, I guess, is that I am local. I'm a Detroit boy, factory town boy. So I'm
Nice.
thinking about
Awesome.
kind of working people. And in fantasy, they never kind of talk about how people pay the rent. How the heroes
After the adventure's over, maybe?
So my heroes kind of live in essentially the kind of ghetto of the fantasy city, and they're kind of they're monster hunters, but they're monster hunters in the way that you're a plumber. You make a little bit of money, you go do it. Plumbers make actually probably more money than they make, but so they're kind of like working class monster hunters.
So they're not in it for the glory. They're not in it for the fame. They're not.
No, they're not in it for the glory or the fame. They're in
It's a
it
profession for them.
It's a profession, and they're good people. They're trying to help people, but they also think about. There's one point in which one of the characters
Dog
has to
catchers with
cast a
swords.
spell. This is something like that, yeah. And casting the spell will cost them lots of gold, and in D&D you just do that.
Yep.
You just go kill the monsters.
Some
and get
rituals
the
in
gold,
Dungeons and Dragons cost a lot of money too.
Yes, that's true.
Shit.
This is true. But we're recording in the morning. I'm still getting my coffee down.
It's totally cool.
Yeah, do not sweat it.
We love that you were on the show.
You're coming at it. It's a fantasy, but how you said this before? How does the location, the Middle East, actually influence the rest of the adventure as compared to maybe doing the same story but in medieval England, which has been done, or medieval, I don't know, somewhere else, Scotland.
It's mostly England, Scotland. Some of the furniture is different, so the monsters are different, right?
Okay.
You've got ghouls and sort of creatures that are sort of like genies coming into. I'm finishing the second book now, and it's way overdue, but that you'll see a lot of that world. The kind of the things people say are different. So there's those sort of like little surface things. The weapons they use are different. So my main.
There is a kind instead of a long sword.
Exactly. So I've got a young, kind of dashing male character who's a secondary character, and he's essentially the paladin of the novel, right?
Okay.
But he's a guy with a turban and a curved sword, but he still embodies a lot of those same archetypes, So some of it's just the kind of dressing, but then some of it's fundamentally different stuff. The characters, instead of kind of going off and being a farm boy who goes and discovers how great he is, they're much more into kind of where they come from and protecting their city that is endangered, and kind of the people around them and family, and
That's how
they
I feel about
respect
Detroit.
age differently, and there's some cultural differences for the
very
characters
cool.
too.
So you're not just throwing out some like Middle Eastern buzzwords and just slapping it on top of a story that already exists somewhere else. You're actually you delved into the lore,
I hope so. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of it's from my own background. I grew up in Dearborn, in their community there, and then a lot of it is just research and reading over years and years. But what I try to do with the novel is to kind of meet readers halfway. So there's a lot of kind of cultural stuff that's from Islam. There's a lot of pre-Arabian or pre-Islamic Arabian mythological stuff and all that, but there's also a lot of like Dungeons and Dragons in there. There's a lot of Star Wars in there. There's a lot of stuff that people and I love when people pick up on that aspect instead of just picking up on the one review said, oh, this is like if Star Wars if Obi-Wan was the main character, and it's like that review did my heart so good, because there are always kind of geeky references.
I know that Lucas isn't big into tabletop role playing, which is something that we're going to explore later on in the show. Yeah, it's the time issue.
Thing,
I know. I'm huge into tabletop role playing, so you keep using terms like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. Like that's hitting me home. Like I want to read this book now.
Oh, that's one of my big influences.
Where can people get this? Like, where's it available?
Most bookstores, if there's a bookstore left near you, hopefully. Sadly, our local Barnes & Noble, I live near Royal Oak now, and our local Barnes & Noble just closed, which is really depressing.
Yeah, I heard about that.
So, I'm from Dearborn, which had a great Borders in it, and that's gone now too.
That hurt my heart when Borders went away.
Yeah,
and as an author, I couldn't imagine what you felt.
Borders was a bookstore around here, but they were all over the country.
Oh yeah, they were all over. Yeah, it was a big
country,
chain.
But
based in Ann Arbor.
They started in Ann Arbor, and they had a huge store in Dearborn that was like, I always fantasized when I came home. I was living in New York at the time. I fantasized when I did my Detroit debut, it would be at that store, but the store's gone. Anyway. There are bookstores left in the world. Most of them carry my book, and if they don't have it, you can ask them for it. But it's on Amazon and
I was about to say online,
anywhere online. You go Barnes and Noble online. You can get it, and it's available. You can get it in paperback. You can get it in audio. You can get it in ebook. So any way you want it.
That's
it's
awesome.
Out there.
Yeah, because I know we have listeners all over. Lucas has family in the Philippines that listen, and they have friends that listen. I know that we have some listeners in France. We have some listeners in other parts of Europe.
Yeah.
Might even have some listeners in the Middle East maybe after this.
There's
really
actually
awesome.
There's a big fantasy crowd emerging in the Philippines. It's interesting. I'm on Twitter.
That's our second biggest.
Yeah, what's your Twitter?
I'm on Twitter. My Twitter is Saladin Ahmed, SaladinAhmed. And again, the name of the novel is Throne of the Crescent Moon.
And we'll throw some text up on screen right here.
We'll figure this out.
Like, it'll be right here.
Over my head?
Is that good? Right here?
Okay, sure. Why not?
That's his Twitter.
But yeah, Twitter is great for being in touch with people from all over the world. And I've got readers in the Philippines, and it's so cool to hear from people from
Bookstores are still big there.
Yeah, exactly. That's
I'm Filipino, as is Joe Mart, and I just visited.
Yeah.
I'm not.
And they're huge.
Right.
So.
You could really.
Don't even tell.
Bookstores are the major thing there. Okay, so I have some questions actually from. We interviewed one of your guests. Did something a little bit different because. Not your guests, your fans.
Oh, okay.
You did a book signing.
One of the guests here at DetCon 1, we asked them about you, and they had some questions.
Oh, okay.
So
great.
I'm going to pick one of these, and he said he wanted to ask, what is your creative process when you are writing?
Wow.
Because it already sounds like you come from a little bit of a different angle. You made your protagonist an older guy. I mean, your setting. So I really kind of want to get in your head, too.
Well, it's hard to figure out where the ideas came from in the first place. Some of these characters are floating around in my head for years and years. So I whenever people ask that, I feel like I don't have a lot of insight as to where the actual ideas come from. The process of actually getting it on the page is it's a pretty mechanical one for me. The other thing is I wrote the first book. The first book I could write by inspiration. When I felt like writing, I could write. I mean, I was living in New York, I was teaching a lot and stuff like that, but, my time was basically my own, and so if I wanted to wake up at 3 a.m. because I had a great idea, or if I wanted to, stay up late and I needed to sleep in the next day, I could do that as I wanted. So the first book I wrote pretty much via kind of when I felt like it, and it took about 3 years part-time to write. Right after that, my twins were born. So I had...
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you, but I have now 4-year-old twins, and I'm still not done with the second book. It's been I've been quite delayed on it, and a lot of that's just because life with 2 small children is just finding time whenever you can, and you're still trying to pay bills and things like that, because writing pays a lot of my bills, but not all of them, so I have to take on other work. And so right now my creative process, the answer is just finding time whenever I can. If you're lucky enough to have kind of more flexibility with your own time, set up a rigorous schedule, and I'm still trying to do that myself, where at least a couple hours I get up a little bit before the kids, and it's a cliche, but writers write, and if you write every day, or write a little bit every day, or even if you set your goal as writing weekly, because that's all the time you can find. If you do it every week, if you write a few words every week for 52 weeks in a year, you'll have core of a novel, at least.
Very cool.
Some good advice for some amateur writers out there. I know we have to have some listening to the show. That's great. Now, I'm going to go back real fast because you mentioned that your second book is in the process. Is this a continuation of the first? Like, is this a series?
Yeah, it is. I tried very hard to make sure that the first book has an ending, and it's not a cliffhanger. It's not a, Ned Stark's been beheaded, and what the hell is everybody going to do now?
I was going to make a Game of Thrones reference when you were talking, but I held off.
No, it's not that. And you're just sort of like left in the middle of chaos. There's a nice closing shut at the end of the first book, and that's increasingly what readers and publishers want. They want a first book that ends, and then if they leaves threads open so that if they want to, they can continue down that journey. But if they, if the book is delayed, in my instance, it's a notorious thing now with epic fantasy writers that we're, I'm
Game of Thrones again.
Acquaintances with George. I'm friends with Pat Rothfuss, and it's just it's part of Scott Lynch. I don't know. There's some curse on our genre that does this to us.
It's the nature of the beast, apparently.
That makes people very wary towards a first.
We're in the vendor room, so that's why we're getting an announcer thing directly behind us. But
I don't think they're announcing anything exploding.
Gravy.
I hope they don't do that to the whole show.
Me neither. That'd be great.
I think it's just a quick announcement. Yes.
But so it is Throne of the Crescent Moon, and it's available at bookstores, and you can get it on Amazon and other areas, other online areas where you can get it. Are we ready?
Yes.
No? Okay,
I just want to say thank you for coming out. We know you have to go because you have a panel to do.
I actually have a reading to do, and I have no idea what I'm reading, so I guess I've got about 20 minutes to figure it out.
Well, we'll leave you to do that. Thank you very much for being on the show, Saladin. Really appreciate it.
Thank you again.
Again, Saladin Ahmed. Throne of the Crescent Moon. Check it out. And your
Racketeers. We're gonna put a link on it. There'll be a link in the video.
You'll see the
link
Twitter for him. You'll see where
I'm
you
on
can get
Twitter
those.
constantly, so
great.
Come check me out there.
Thank you very much for stopping in.
Guys.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
very much.
All right.
That was really cool.
That sounds really interesting. I like the protagonist is like he said it's like an Obi-Wan kind of view of stuff.
Really?
Yeah, it's instead of coming at it from Luke Skywalker's kind of view, we're coming at it from the older, experienced, potentially jaded monster hunter.
I like jaded.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm definitely gonna check it out,
jaded.
and maybe after I get done reading the plethora of books that DetCon 1 gave me.
There's a lot of books here.
Yeah, right.
There's a lot of writers.
A lot of books. A lot of writers.
Actually, last night we had a little lunch eating thing, and then there was all the writers where we met a lot of our guests today. They had tables out in this huge room where there was a lot of signings going on.
Oh, cool.
So there was a lot of writers here, and actually,
I wish I had more time this weekend to stick around.
Our next guest is Diana Foe. We're gonna welcome her in. Welcome to the rack.
Hi.
Diana.
Nice to meet you. I'm Conrad. I know you already met Lucas.
Diana is from, is it Tor or TOR?
Tor, yes, Tor Books.
Okay.
Tor Books Publishing from Brooklyn, New York.
Well, I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Is that where the book publisher
Wait,
is?
where's
Tor is
Tor?
based in Manhattan. Yes.
Oh, Manhattan. Okay. Very cool. Very cool.
Not the same place anybody outside of New York.
And she's also
Not the
part
same.
of, and we're gonna get into this. It's called Beyon Victoriana. It's a steampunk blog that covers multicultural steampunk. So just not particularly England and in the 1800s, right?
Yes, exactly. So Beyon Victoriana is a multicultural steampunk blog that I've been running for since 2009, and it focuses on non-Western cultures and specifically about people of color as well, and people from other marginalized backgrounds in terms of disability, religion, gender and sexuality, stuff like that.
Because I think it'd be fair to say that a lot of steampunk takes its influence that we have covered at least, a lot from the English, Victorian, kind of turn of the century stuff. So
it's usually a tea and crackers kind of thing.
Yeah, so you take it in a different direction.
It's not like rice and falafel. Shawarma.
Sure.
Or what do we do in Asia? It's rice and chicken from where I grew up. I'm Filipino though, so.
No sushi.
No sushi.
Okay, sorry, anyway. But where do you take it from?
Well, basically, I look at steampunk and how it manifests itself in ways that you're right, that doesn't look at, the Victorian England perspective. I've covered stuff like, steampunk that happens with, from Africa. They call it steamfunk, actually.
Nice.
I like that.
Asian steampunk, there's various names for that. People have called it rice punk or silk punk. I actually prefer bamboo punk.
I like bamboo punk. Bamboo punk is cool.
Yeah, exactly. And steampunk from Latin America, indigenous steampunk from like First Nations or Native American perspective. Just looking at all sorts of different ways that
would be cool.
people
I never
have
even
talked
thought
about.
of that.
This sounds great. This sounds awesome. I'm actually a little bit embarrassed that I've never considered this before.
Yeah, the idea of
Right.
Steampunk
being
outside of
England.
corsets. No
Yeah.
offense, ties that bind.
Yeah.
We love
So
that.
do they wear corsets? That's a good question. Do they wear
Well-
corsets, or are they wearing cultural clothes for where they are?
Well, you could wear corsets. I know, I do Vietnamese inspired steampunk after
Okay.
my own family heritage,
Okay.
and I actually wear áo dài, which is the traditional Vietnamese clothing, as part of my steampunk wear. I've seen Indian steampunk of saris. I have a friend. She has Native American heritage, and she actually does a Native scientist look.
Oh, very
You know,
cool.
That sounds so
because
cool.
Native Americans, they did have science and technology. It's just a different type.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really interested in exploring. Just the ways that different peoples and societies interact with technology and
Yeah.
developing technology. And it's not all about like pith helmets and imperialism and God save the Queen.
Yeah. God save the Emperor too.
There you go. Yeah. So, for example, if we were looking at this from maybe a Japanese perspective, you would probably see less Victorian clothing,
Wait a
maybe
second.
less corset, less.
Steampunk samurais.
That's exactly what I was getting at.
I'm
Lucas,
sorry.
thank you. You know what? No,
ka-chugga,
do it.
boom.
Just do the show by yourself if you
see
just
ya.
want to take
So
all
Steve,
of my ideas.
tell me about steampunk samurais.
Well, yes, there are steampunk samurais, actually. There's a great book by Jay Noel, actually, that recently came out, called Dragonfly Warrior, and the cover is, this samurai, steampunk warrior, and how he fights, against this in the name of this empire until he realizes there's something else going on, and that's what I really love about steampunk from a multicultural angle as well, because it takes these stories that seem to be popular in steampunk about exploration, quote unquote, which really isn't exploration but conquering other lands, and turns it on its head, because then you can have people, questioning imperialism, fighting against the empire, and be justified in doing that. And what I think is very engaging about multicultural steampunk is the way it can explore these questions about our histories and about histories that have been lost, oppressed, or erased because of politics and European supremacy and imperialism and stuff like that.
Wow.
It's a really interesting take on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like you said, it's just the history from the European perspective, and so steampunk, that's what I always associated with. That's just what I was introduced to, and it's what I consider steampunk when I think of the steampunk norm, I guess. Which
And we're baby steampunkers.
We're baby
We're about a
steampunkers.
year
We just got
in.
into
There you go.
Steamtopia was one of our last conventions that we just did. So we're getting into the genre, and it's really cool to see that it's even now bigger than I previously thought that it was.
Right.
I'd like to plug your blog. It's called Beyon Victoriana. Is that what that's it?
Yes, Beyon Victoriana, and actually people
What's the URL?
It's www.beyondvictoriana.com.
Like I said, we'll see it here.
Right there.
Yes. I also want to mention a couple of other books
Yeah,
that
absolutely. Feel free.
have like a multicultural angle. One is fiction, one is nonfiction. First is Steampunk World by
Yeah,
Sarah
I don't know if we
Hans.
can get this right, but
Yes. It's this anthology of steampunk short stories that take place all over the world outside of Victorian England.
That's beautiful artwork.
They're by
the art's gorgeous.
Right. The art is actually by James Ng. He is a Hong Kong-based steampunk artist and graphic designer.
Okay.
And so it's just amazing work that he does. And actually, the book is also fully illustrated with James Ng's work. And that's like one example of multicultural steampunk that's just coming out.
Okay.
Another example I like to promote for nonfiction is The Anatomy of Steampunk by Catherine Gleason. This is actually a
Let's do one of these
steampunk
two.
fashion book But what makes it really unique is that Catherine takes steampunk fashion and she doesn't break it down by like, the archetypes of steampunk. There is no like aristocrat, airship pirate, and how you imitate those looks.
Okay.
But she talks about things like fine and fancy, or like street fashion, or cosplay, and she like divides it into 5 different areas of where steampunk fashion falls in, specifically to show how diverse and dynamic it is. And she doesn't just draw from European influences, but she draws from like non-Western, Eastern influences too. One of the major contributors is the Tokyo Inventor Society.
Okay,
and
cool,
they did
cool.
A really great shoot of themselves out there. We have contributors, from all across of the world. We have like models of color, designers of color. We have also people that like don't typically are emphasized being important in fashion, like people of different like sizes, people of different ages, like older people, younger people, people of different abilities, and they're all like featured as being important in steampunk. And what I think is very significant about the anatomy of steampunk is that it shows the potential of steampunk fashion to really not only be a form of creative expression, but a form of punking and questioning the fashion industry itself.
Okay, cool.
So I highly recommend that one as well. But
this all sounds really cool. And actually, the more you talk about it, the more I'm reminded of. I think this is the only example I've seen really of steampunk that outside of the Western. And I don't know if you're familiar with Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes.
Okay. The Legend of Korra.
Yes.
The extension of that, when after they started being able to manipulate metal more with metal bending, seems like there was a jump in technology, and it seems like a lot of things there could be considered Eastern steampunk.
Right.
Which I didn't even think about until we had this conversation. So that's really cool. You're already opening eyes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of different perspectives that are out there, and there's a lot of other people outside the steampunk community that are really taking, the themes that you see it and like pushing it forward.
Yep.
So, and definitely Legend of Korra is a great example of
Right?
that.
Oh, yeah, I did it right. Yes, I was hoping that you weren't going to be like, actually, no, that's wrong. But good try.
It's in the back.
Awesome, but no, just see, again, we went around and we got some more information outside of England, but editor. Tell us more about TOR Books.
Tor Books.
Tor Books, yeah.
It's the largest science fiction fantasy publisher in the United States.
Okay.
We've done a lot of different works.
Yeah, what's under the umbrella of Tor Books?
It's basically everything under the sun that you can think of, from epic fantasy to like hard sci-fi.
Do some name
to
dropping.
steampunk.
Let's
Sure,
hear
Robert
it.
Jordan, Brandon Sanderson, or Jacqueline Carey. Are some of our major authors. In the steampunk side, Sherry Priest.
Okay.
Who really
Sherry Priest, I believe I've heard of, yeah.
Yeah, she really kickstarted the rise in like modern steampunk books. She's one of ours. Basically like, a lot of the major science fiction fantasy writers you can think of, we've published them at some point in our history.
Really? I'm just going to pull one out off the top of my head. Jim Butcher? No?
Yet.
Okay, sorry then. Not
It's
yet.
okay.
Oh, that's a good answer. Not yet. Not that I'm wrong, just we haven't gotten him yet. That's very positive.
There's always hope. There's always hope. But like Tor Books, you can always check out. We're also really well known for our sister company, Tor.com,
Okay.
which is one of the leading science fiction fantasy websites on the web.
Really?
Very
Yes.
cool. Sounds like an awesome thing.
Like I said, I just want to thank you because I feel like I now have a broader understanding of a genre that I thought that I was doing while learning, like a little part of, which I didn't even know was a little part of. Like it was
Right.
not shelter, it's just I didn't know, and now I do.
Yes.
So one little last wrap-up question. You were here last night, right?
Right.
What was your favorite part so far of DetCon 1?
I just really love the fact that like it's here in Detroit, because people have said that like Detroit had been on the decline for several decades, but now it's really picking itself up, and you really see that in its outreach for the community, and also just like the type of programming. I love the Afrofuturism stuff that comes up. I love the fact that last night, I was dancing. To like this like all these like remix tunes of like class that drew upon like Detroit's classic like musical history.
Where
and
you
Vortex
at?
was the DJ
Vortex.
spinning. Yeah,
One of our good friends
Is
on the
Vortex
show.
here?
Actually.
Yeah.
He was here yesterday. He's not here today.
Dang it, I missed Vortex.
He was cool.
Good friend of ours.
Yeah, he had
Good
a
friend of
really,
ours.
really great set that like drew upon like from like Motown through like Eminem's Detroit stuff, like
He's
everything.
been kicking around moving here.
Yes.
So-
Well, I don't know.
We might
Now
call
you
him.
guys know,
There you
and we
go.
just let it out of the bag.
Was that a
Right.
secret?
It's supposed to be.
Oh, shh. You didn't hear from them.
Now you know.
Now it's Jomar's fault.
So,
Good job, Jomar. Come on, man.
But I want to say thank you for being on the show. So we're not the favorite part?
oh, you guys are highlights.
Oh, highlight?
Highlight of my
Highlight.
convention experience.
Well,
We're like the
Diana
frosting
Foe.
on top of
I'm
really
saying it
great
right?
cake.
Yeah.
Foe?
Yes.
Diana Foe?
Great.
Thank you for coming out and being on the show. It was a pleasure having you, and we'll see you around con today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
We'll
yeah,
keep an eye
definitely.
out.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Great.
And like I said, go to BeyondVictoria.com. We'll have links in the video and on the description page.
It'll be up here, too.
And throughout the week, we'll try to plug them on TheRack.com. TheRackShow.com.
TheRackShow.com.
I
There
did it
you
again.
go. I know, right?
You know?
Good job.
Whatever.
We're just getting stuff wrong.
It was a rough
All right,
night.
but thank you very
Yeah,
much
thanks
for
so
hanging
much,
out.
guys.
Really
Thank you
appreciate
again.
it.
Great, I'll see ya.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff happening
Steampunk
here.
outside of Victorian culture, like I feel like it makes sense. I feel like
Absolutely.
it has to exist
Absolutely.
elsewhere, but for whatever reason, I never considered it until now.
Well, see, here, our next guy coming up, we're going to be bringing him on here. His name's Stephen Harper. He's the one that did the series, I think it's 4 books, I believe, but he did a series where they start in Victorian England, then they go through Europe, France, and Ukraine, and then they go into Asia and China.
Okay, well,
it's going to be really awesome.
okay, well, I have questions, but I don't want to ask you. I want to ask.
Yeah, I don't know many of them. He gave us one of the books. Jomar, can you get us Stephen Harper's book?
And then Stephen Harper.
And like, you know what we need with the book. Where'd you put it?
So,
And we'll bring on Stephen Harper right now.
Yeah, Stephen Harper.
Stephen Harper, we're going to bring him in.
Hello, sir.
How you
Pleasure to
doing?
meet you,
First
Conrad.
off,
Doing
thank
really
you for
good.
being on the Rack Show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
This is going to be great. We've been we're on a steampunk bend. Now, I just want to let you know, DetCon not all is steampunk. There's other genres here. We know a lot of our fans are steampunk fans.
Gotta show steampunk love.
And this is your book. It's called The Doomsday Vault by Stephen Harper.
Yes.
Beautiful artwork.
Yeah. Oh, the covers have been really great for these, but really eye-catching.
Who does your cover work?
I don't know.
Okay.
They didn't tell me, and I couldn't find it in there. so
Whoever does it does an amazing job.
Yeah. They
Absolutely.
really jump off the shelves.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Yeah, they did
He
the
just noticed the
mechanical
mechanical cat.
Yeah,
That's
they
on the
put-
cover.
Is that something in the book?
Yes, Click, the mechanical cat, is a major character in the books, and I
Oh,
was so
books.
surprised that they put Click shows up in the first 3 books, and I was so surprised because they very often don't put those kinds of things on the cover, and they have to hand draw.
They did a
and
gorgeous
they
job.
Did,
Amazing.
yeah.
So
And Click
intricate.
looks so great.
And this is a novel from the Clockwork Empire. That's what it's
Right.
called, right? How many books are in that?
4.
4. Okay.
4,
And
yeah.
this, what book is this? Book
That's
number.
the first
first
one.
one.
That's the first one.
And
Okay.
we're gonna get a marker so we can sign it. We met yesterday for our pre-show.
Yeah.
And I told you gave me this book. I'm like, I'm gonna get this signed on. Since we're doing this on video, we're gonna have our first signing on TheRackShow.com.
Very first ever.
Alright.
So
Here we go.
Okay.
Stephen Harper's signature on our book for
Yeah.
The Rack.
And
It's
I'm a
gonna be
lefty.
awesome. I'm a lefty
Lucas
too.
is lefty
This
too.
way.
Oh, look at
Oh,
it. Look
Great
at,
minds think
There we
alike.
go. All right, left-handed handshake. Okay.
I like your little bracer you got there too.
Alright.
Your little cog bracer.
Yeah.
That is cool.
That's my steampunk bracelet. Okay.
To the Rack Show.
Rack Show. All right.
This is a pretty big deal, guys.
Pretty big. You're here for Rack Show history.
This is the monumental. This has never happened before. Lots of firsts on this episode. There you
There
go.
we go.
Thank you
Very
so
cool.
much.
Thank you so much.
All right.
So what we're gonna try to do
I'm gonna flip through this.
is we have this new thing now that we have video coming out. We're gonna have small little videos doing reviews and just little fun videos that we're gonna do along with the big show. And we're gonna be releasing them. One of us are gonna get a hold of this book series, read it, and review it.
Awesome.
One of us probably being me.
Awesome.
Or
All
well,
right.
we've had some volunteers from the internships too.
Yeah, but I want to read
Okay,
it. so.
if you want to do it, you get first dibs because you're Conrad.
Just saying.
And yeah, it's what
If you want to fight
here you
over
go.
it, go ahead.
We're fighting over who's going to review your book. That's a pretty good sign. I'm interested.
So let's talk about the book.
Yeah, more about the
Book
Clockwork
one
Emipre.
is called The Doomsday.
Yeah, the
Doomsday Vault.
The Vault.
Doomsday
Book 2 is called,
The Impossible Cube.
which we talked about yesterday. It sounds really interesting. Book 3
Is The Dragon Men,
Okay.
is
and that one's
what's-
set in China.
Book 4.
And book 4 is The Havoc Machine.
Where's that?
And that one is set in Eastern Europe and Russia.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
So this is what's cool about it. We were just talking about this with our previous guest. It's Victorian culture leaving Victoriana.
Yes. Yeah. I started off. The Doomsday Vault starts off in London, but by the end of the book, we're leaving London, and the Impossible Cube. We're going across Europe. We go across France and Belgium, and we end up in Ukraine for a chunk of the book there. Because Ukraine was a really crazy place in the 1800s.
Yeah,
it really was.
Can you ask why?
It was cut in half, and Poland, which was at that time a world-class military power. A lot of people don't know this or have forgotten it, and the other half was ruled by Russia.
Okay.
Catherine the Great. And they ruled it with iron fist. They were afraid of Ukraine, actually. So they divided it up and held it. In my world, Ukraine is trying to break free of that, and since we have clockwork weaponry, then they have a shot at doing it. Then in the Dragon Men, our heroes end up in China for the third part of their journey, and there we have Empress Qixi, who part of the Qing dynasty, who was, in reality, she was the power behind the throne, and she was the most powerful woman in Chinese history.
So there are some actual historical figures that are characters in your book.
You did a lot of
Indeed.
research for these books.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Like, you
So
just didn't
much
go and
research.
write and just make stuff up. You actually went and studied the history behind each of these things and made them fit into steampunk.
Yeah, the research behind this is half the fun. Right, the stuff that I found out about Russia for the Havoc Machine, for example, the fourth book, was incredible. You've heard about the Tsars of Russia, maybe, and how nuts they went.
Yes.
They tried to build up their palaces. Each one tried to build a bigger palace than the Tsar before. They tried to add to the Winter Palace each time, and it destroyed Russia's economy. Rather than build railroads and roads and schools and infrastructure like electricity and telephones,
They were more focused on
sort of stuff.
posturing and braggadocious stuff.
Exactly, and that cost millions of dollars. One of there were assassination attempts on the Tsar, who appears in the Havoc Machine actually several times, because he tried to free the serfs. He wanted them to be let go, but the other nobility didn't like that. A number of times they tried to assassinate him, and one time they destroyed a big part of the Winter Palace with a bomb while doing that, and he wanted it rebuilt within 6 months, and it was done, but it cost a lot of money, and it cost thousands of lives. Thousands of people died to do it. He worked people to death
So
to do it.
that's actually a real thing that happened.
That
Wow.
really happened. So you can't not use this stuff.
Yeah.
So this kind of stuff shows up in the books that I write about this, but I put a steampunk spin on it. So yeah, the research is half the fun.
That's
This
awesome.
kind of stuff.
Now, your website is clockworkempire.com.
Yeah, the Clockwork Empire.
Oh, it's the Clockwork
Clockwork
Empire. So it's
okay.
the Clockwork Empire right up here.
Yes.
I'm hoping I'm putting it in the right place. Watch
Watch
our
it be the
editor
lower
down
third.
here somewhere. Whatever.
It's like there just wasn't enough room. I didn't leave enough headroom.
You
so.
also worked on another project called.
Actually, I want to stop you for a minute because
Okay.
I have a question about this. Sorry.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Now we were just talking to Dan Foe about the other influences of steampunk in other societies and other cultures. What are some examples of clockwork technology that are outside of England? Like anything that
In my books, you mean? Or
yeah, in your books, or maybe anything that you might use in the future. Whatever, maybe a rack exclusive. I don't know.
Like we use
Rack exclusive. Sorry.
There's a lot of part of the stuff that I'm trying to do in here is try to use as much reality as I can, because steampunk stuff is so unreal.
Yeah.
A lot of it is couldn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is a chunk of it. I start off with real science, right? My
Weird
middle-
at DetCon 1, weird science.
Yeah,
Real
right?
science?
Yeah,
What?
real science. The Doomsday Vault starts off with the idea that of using the square root of 2. In the Clockwork Empire, we have mad scientists they're infected with a virus. That's what makes them mad, and it makes them also, it clicks in their head, and they can see, they understand stuff that normal people can't, because their brains are firing on all neurons all at once. But they can understand. They have perfect pitch as well, and this comes from my son, who is autistic. that if you've ever heard that sound that runs at the beginning of some movies of the old days, when that noise that they used to run, that TMX noise that they made, that is called a shepherd's tone. And the shepherd's tone is based on an augmented fourth, which like C to F sharp is an augmented fourth. It's called the devil's tone back in the Middle Ages, and it's ugly. It's the only interval in the musical scale that is based on an irrational number. Every other number, the vibration frequencies between the first string and the second string, the frequency of vibration between the two is a rational number. 1 to 1, 1 to 4, 1 to 5, 1 to 6, except for the augmented fourth. And in that one, the vibration ratio is actually the square root of 2. You can't. Now, the square root of 2 can't exist. It doesn't exist.
It's an imaginary number.
Yeah, it's an irrational number, right? It can't happen, except it does, obviously, because we can hear it in the square root
real life.
of 2.
Exactly, it's crazy.
Yeah, and that's why it sounds awful. That sounds so horrible. So, my son has perfect pitch, and he hates that interval. He hates that shepherd's tone. It drives him. When he was little, it caused him physical pain in the movie theater. We had to bring ear protectors for him so that he could pop them on his head so that it wouldn't hurt his ears. And he would always ask, "Are they going to do the noise? Are they going to do the noise?" In the Clockwork Empire series, I predicated part of the science on the idea that my mad scientists can understand that the square root of 2 and those sounds can't exist, but they do exist because we can hear them and see them, and that's why they're going crazy. And they make all these mad inventions
really
as
cool.
a result, right? So there's part of the real science that's going on there. Like the Impossible Cube, the second book, an Impossible Cube does exist, but it's an Escher drawing. You've seen those that three-dimensional cube where part of the cube looks like it's in the front.
Yes.
And it's in the back.
Part of the back. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but it does.
Yeah, that's the thing. And the Impossible Cube is an object that one of the scientists actually builds. He really builds one. And it can't exist, but it does. It's like the square root of 2. And since it can't exist, but it does, the Impossible Cube is able to break the universe. And so they have to figure out what to do with this object that can't be destroyed, but can destroy the universe. And that's what they're trying to do in the second book. They're trying to figure out what do we do with this cube before it destroys everything.
That is so crazy.
So
I'm really excited.
It sounds great.
So this is the real. So there is some real science based on this, but it's meta science. It's science about science.
That's
very cool.
Okay. Now, sorry, I totally cut you off, Lucas, but I needed to hear that. I was really curious about it.
That's not the only thing you wrote, though. You
Right.
did something for you did something for Reader's Digest.
Writer's Digest. Yes.
Writers.
Right.
Writer's Digest.
Yeah, writing the paranormal novel. Writer's Digest books asked me if I would write a book on how to write a paranormal novel, urban fantasy, basically. And I said, okay, yes, that would be cool. So, and I wrote it, and they didn't pay me very much, and I thought, okay, this will be this thing that sort of sinks out of sight and disappears. But it turned into one of the most popular books I've ever written.
Wow.
So yeah, and I get more response from that than some of my fiction. So and it remains in print. It's still selling them.
So I'm going to ask you an unfair question because you wrote an entire book about this. But how does one write a paranormal novel? Like, can you? Yeah. What's the back of the book version?
Yeah, the short version is you take a regular story and you inject a paranormal or magical element into it. Okay. When Aladdin, everyone knows the story of Aladdin and the Wonderful Lamp. And he was an ordinary kid living an ordinary poor life, and then he got hold of his uncle shows up and shoves him into this cave where he ends up with this lamp that calls up a genie, and so he was an ordinary person, but he got to us it's a fairy tale because it was long ago and far away.
Yes.
But in the original story it was there and now. It was urban fantasy. To Jinn were big fire spirits. They were not bound to an object. The modern equivalent would be, if they were written now, it would be like he would turn on a light and a fairy would pop out, because they weren't that was a very strange.
They weren't associated until Aladdin made it so.
Right.
Okay.
So Aladdin was urban fantasy for its time. So you take Dracula is urban fantasy.
Yep.
It's ordinary, regular Victorian London because it was written during that time. And then Bram Stoker injected a vampire, and we got urban fantasy.
Or like Mary Shelley's monster of Frankenstein. Monster. Yes. Okay. So I kind of get it. Yeah.
So that's the short version of how you do it.
Awesome.
Very cool. Exciting read. If you want, you should go read it. So when we review it, you can be like, yeah, Conrad's
You
totally
know what
right.
we're talking about.
Exactly. It's the Rack Book Club.
Yeah, we did.
There we go.
We just
First book.
We just started doing book reviews.
I just want to say thank you for coming out. What's been your favorite thing here so far?
This interview.
Awesome.
Great answer.
There we go.
Yeah. Do you have a website or anything that you want to plug, or we just talked to the Clockwork Empire? Okay, and then like I said, the paranormal book that you wrote was how to write a paranormal novel.
Yeah. Writing the paranormal.
Novel. Okay, and
And
again,
you can find us all
Doomsday
online
Book.
in bookstores and
Online bookstores,
Amazon.com, all that
Amazon.
stuff.
Yep,
Great.
Barnes and
Very
Noble,
good.
everywhere.
We'll put links up for you guys. Guys, check out his book.
Stephen Harper,
We're going to be
everybody.
reading it, so let's do this, guys.
All right, thank
Thank
you
you again.
so
Thank
much
you.
for stopping in. Really
Thank you
appreciate
again, Stephen
it.
Harper.
Thank you so much.
This is so cool.
All right, is that not cool?
I'm very excited for
first
this.
book.
I'm very, very excited for this.
I say we go buy out 2 copies.
All right, I'm fine with
Because we
that.
should probably put this one in a box.
I'm done. We should save this. We should save this.
We shouldn't read this one. We'll
But
go
I
buy
want
2
to.
other
I don't want to
ones.
ruin the spine. I'm really
Yeah.
bad on books.
Are you?
I love books, but I love them hard. I'm not very gentle with them. So this spine.
I don't know what to say about that.
People
I
who
just
read
don't
books
know.
know exactly what I'm talking about, and I will mess this book up. This is how I do. So take this from me before I try reading it now. I don't want it. I don't want to hurt
Harper's
it.
book again.
I don't want to hurt it. Stephen Harper's book's pretty awesome.
I didn't get to see what he did.
He gave us a.
Oh,
yeah.
that's so cool.
It's pretty great.
Okay, so we're gonna put that up there. Yeah, that happened.
Okay, no, this has been an awesome show so far.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
pretty
been
stoked
fun.
about this
It's
show.
been really a lot of fun.
I have to go to work right after this, and I don't want to.
This has been a fun.
I want to
fun
stick
day so far.
around.
We have a really special guest. Now.
We sure do.
they've all been special, but this is different.
This is our very first musical
different.
guest who's gonna play music for us. This is gonna be Tom Smith, everybody.
Tom Smith.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Hello, sir.
How you doing? So, it's your turn.
So, I mean, you have so much stuff under your belt. Dr. Demento show. First, I want to talk about that. Dr. Demento. You were on Dr. Demento. I don't even. Okay, go. Sorry. As you broke me.
First time I was
First,
on.
you know what I think he needs to do is explain, because you're a radio guy, explain who Dr. Demento is.
Oh, I'm
For
sorry.
those,
for
those of you who don't know, Dr. Demento, a guy named Barry Hansen out in California, has been doing a funny music radio show and now internet show for 40 plus years, and
It's where Weird Al got his first start, actually. His first song that he recorded in a stall in a bathroom was My Bologna. It was My Baloney. So it's where he got his start. They're right.
My Bologna.
Yeah, you know it.
Oh yeah. No, actually, I'm a filk performer, which means basically I do the music of science fiction and fantasy fandom. And even though Weird Al says that he is not a filker, and that's his privilege because there's also the community of filk. A lot of his stuff and a lot of other people's stuff are thoroughly welcome in filk circles. And Yoda, his parody of Lola about Star Wars.
You know, you got his American Pie parody. The saga begins. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Actually, that's a bit of a thing I have. Yoda is like a perfect parody. Okay, it's a perfect filk song. Okay, The Saga Begins is a perfect bad filk song. All it does is it tells the story and has one new joke. So that's everybody. Oh, The Saga Begins. It's like what all it's doing is
It was just an
relating the
example,
movie.
but while it's a bad folk song, it's still technically a folk song.
Technically
yeah?
a
There
folk
you
song,
go.
absolutely,
So,
and of course,
correct example.
and of course, he's got all the all the authorized costumes and everything behind it. It's like, yep, got a lot of frontage for that. That's great.
Yeah, but let's not talk about Weird Al. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about Tom
Me.
Smith. The stuff you've done.
The stuff I've done.
Yes.
Well, okay. In that case, for people who haven't heard filk, I actually had three little micro filk songs.
What are micro filk songs?
Yeah.
They're short ones because I do comedy mostly. All right, I have a lot of serious songs, but I do a lot more funny songs in concert. I figured this is a good way to not be killed by anybody who doesn't like me. They're laughing too hard, I can escape.
Yeah.
And there are 3 rules of comedy, one of which is basically a restatement of the first rule. The second rule. I'm awake. The first rule of comedy: be funny. Not clever, not witty, not Oscar Wilde-ish. Be funny. People just don't get that sometimes. The second rule is deliver the joke, and you're done. And the third rule is timing is everything, which is an adjunct of that. But anyway, let's see. In fact, if I had the power I'd send them all to hell. So I traveled to Arkham, I got a library card, took out a book on black magic by Abdul Al-Azrad. Iakatulu Fatagan, if you can say this refrain, if you can look at the old ones and still have half your brain, if you like casting spells at midnight, wearing only a cape, then your master's in real yay. Chant the spell, he'll escape. Which is all there is of that one. So.
I gotta love a Jimmy Buffett Call of Cthulhu mashup. That's amazing.
That was great.
That's amazing.
That was great.
As soon as I heard Arkham, I was like, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
I think I know
I love
where
how
this
he
is
didn't tell us
going.
the title, so we didn't know. So where's he gonna go?
Yeah, the title
God.
is the Cthulhu Colada songs.
That's amazing.
Very awesome.
I actually, it's a longer song. I'm not going to do it now, but way back in the day, 95, 96, I wrote a song called Bermuda Triangle, which was my effort to make a Jimmy Buffett film. And it actually worked out pretty well.
How many songs do you have for us?
Right now, very, very quick, you guys said you didn't have much time, and that's cool, because I have short songs. These all happen to be parodies. I have a lot of original songs, but I also made my mark, basically, by doing parodies. And one of them is just a quick little thing. It's like, you say Carmina, and I say Barana. You say Fortuna, and I say Cantata. Carmina, Barana, Fortuna, Cantata. Let's Carl the whole thing, Orf.
It hits me. I'm sorry. I love you didn't warn us either, so I couldn't be like, okay, I'm gonna be professional and not crack my ass up.
That's my
in your
job.
songs.
You want to know? I may end up doing a fourth song just to show you what I actually have been introducing my concerts with lately.
That is fine.
Okay.
You know what? We're ahead of schedule, so go for it. Do what you want.
Feel free.
Okay.
Tell us the
wanna
title
move
whenever
in or
you
not?
want.
All right. This one again. You'll figure. I should probably do this one. Okay, I'll do a different song than I was going to do at the end, but this will, yeah. There's a fairy grove in my backyard. I found it just last night. And the fairies come to have some fun in the silvery moonlight. They're lovelier than anything that you have ever seen. And when you smash them with a brick, their blood's all thick and green. Smash the frickin' fairies, smash the frickin' fairies, smash the frickin' fairies, bash them in the head. Smash the frickin' fairies, dainty pretty fairies, dumbass tiny fairies, make them suckers dead. Stupid little fairies, they come to dance and sing. I hang them from my nipples, now they're fairy bling. Tiny little wingspan, see how cute they are. Press them in a phone book, tape them to my car. Smash the frickin' fairies, tinkly stinkly fairies, poopy stoopy fairies, I don't wanna stop. Smash the frickin' fairies, icky awful fairies, angsty wangsty fairies, squeeze until they pop. Who cares about their ancient magic? Who cares about their hidden lore? I just like the way they go stiff then go limp when you catch their heads in a door. Who cares about their timeless beauty? Who cares if their existence is a shock? I took pictures of them posed with my dominatrix Barbie, and my eBay shop can't keep them in stock. Some people see the fairies and their hearts and souls are moved. I tie them to bowling pins, my average has improved. Fishing isn't boring since I use them now for bait. They're also good as shredded cheese, their life is really great. The fairies ran together, came to each other's aid. Too bad I had a shotgun and a big old can of Raid. So now they're really frightened, they're sad and mad and vexed. And when I take the fairies down, the hobbits all are next. Smash their freaking fairies, tinkly stinky fairies, icky awful fairies. Crush them under trains, anvil at the ready, drop it on their heady, bring in some undeady, zombie fairy brains. Smash the frickin' fairies, stupid awful fairies, terrible old fairies, bust their little heads. Smash the frickin' fairies, fill their cemeteries. Then I woke up, doctor, can you please adjust my meds?
Awesome. Oh! This is great stuff.
Thank you.
We're wrap this up here. Where can we get the albums?
Yes, where's your music available at? This is important to everybody. Everybody needs to hear more of this. Tom Smith, everybody. Holy crap.
Tom Smith. How are we gonna get our
Thank you very kindly.
No problem.
My stuff is, my main website is tomsmithonline.com. I'm also all over Facebook and a few other places as Filker Tom. And The best place to get my music right now, I was having some problems with the downloads on my main site, but I have a Bandcamp site. The Bandcamp site is tomsmith.bandcamp.com, and everything right there right now is pay what you want. So you can listen to all of it because they got a very good player program on there, and you can download as much as you'd like. And if you're downloading the individual songs isn't a good idea because some of those have set prices. But I just made all the albums pay what you want. It was a lot easier. And and if you want to kick in some money, I appreciate it because this is more or less how I make my living.
Well, there you go, guys.
You deserve it. I mean, you're very good at it.
Bandcamp website. We'll do links on therackshow.com. We'll also put links in this video above
here,
Conrad's
or
head.
maybe down here.
And go buy his website or go buy his songs. They're worth the money, so spend the
Just
money.
after what I heard, I can vouch for this. I'm over here dying. You're killing me.
It's funny. Thank you, Tom Smith, for being on the show.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's great to have you.
One more thing. What was your favorite thing so far here at the show? At the
way to lead him in, Lucas.
It's fine. Actually, my favorite thing about this whole show is that I go to conventions a lot. Okay, many of us, all of our best friends are at conventions. Okay, we met them at Phantom. So in some cases, we haven't seen these people in decades, and it's just connecting with people that you haven't seen for so long, and the connection goes right back to where it was.
That's awesome.
It's amazing. And it's so much fun to just hang around. This has been a very exciting, fun, bubbly con, and we've all been having a blast.
Great, so, that's awesome.
And I just realized you're local too, Ann
Arbor,
Michigan.
I live over. Yeah, I actually was born and raised in Detroit. Moved out to Ypsi in 1976, and
we might be calling you.
Yeah,
okay. We won't tell you why on camera. We might be calling you.
Secrets. No more secrets are being revealed this show.
No more, because we've given away too many secrets for the rat. But thank you, Tom Smith. Once again, round of applause.
Oh my God, so great.
Awesome. Thank you
so much for being here.
And have a wonderful rest of the weekend here.
Same with you guys.
DetCon 1.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm still crying.
That was great.
I'm still crying a little bit.
It totally took me by surprise. I didn't know where it was going on any of those songs.
I could suss out some of them.
I was just like, that's where he's going.
The Arkham one. Oh my God.
That was fun stuff.
That was great.
So what did you like so far? You haven't gone around the con yet.
I haven't walked anywhere. I walked in and then I started doing the show. Conrad's
a busy guy. He's demanded by other media outlets.
I mean, I will come back and hopefully I can get around on Sunday. That's when I'm going to try to walk around.
Okay, there you go. So
we mentioned
we can do this.
Yeah, we mentioned we're ahead of schedule. We mentioned a potential secret guest that we didn't want to push just in case he couldn't get here.
We're not going to tell you who or what he does until he sits down, but we're going to bring him on. I'll just let you know his name is
potentially one of the biggest guests we've had.
He's wearing the shirt.
He's wearing the shirt.
Can you do a shirt turn for us?
Shirt turn.
Okay.
Just a little hint on what we're about to talk about.
Okay.
So I have to explain here.
Okay.
I work for Respawn Entertainment.
Okay.
This is Live, Dead, Live.
So Respawning. And then what's on the back? Oh my gosh. Does that say Titanfall, everybody? Is this potentially John Davis? Holy crap.
For Respawn Entertainment, we didn't know if we could get him on the show today because of timing, but it worked out.
We managed.
Tell the Racketeer Army, was what we call our fan club. The Racketeer Army.
Yes.
You like that?
Yeah.
This are the shirts.
So Respawn Entertainment worked on Titanfall. What did you do for the game?
I'm a senior programmer in the game. I was responsible personally for a lot of tools and technology and optimizations and platform support. I made the game run originally on the Xbox One.
Thank you for that.
Which was entertaining. Very cool. And a little painful because it hadn't actually been done yet. So we were sort of building the game for it as the platform was evolving, right? Apart from that, I worked on some graphics technology. I kind of just do whatever comes up that needs to be done.
And you're a big gamer. This is a little bit different than our authors that we've had previously and on our song guide, but you're a big gamer, right?
I'm a huge gamer.
What's your favorite game? We gotta know.
Favorite game of all time is
Titanfall.
Well, I like Titanfall. I do.
Of all time.
I have to say. Of all time, probably Final Fantasy VI.
Six.
Six.
People don't throw that one out there very much. Good for you.
Well, of course, it's Final Fantasy. It came out as Final Fantasy III here.
Yeah.
I loved the thing that I really loved about that game, and this is spoiler time. So if anybody hasn't played it, I'm sorry, but
plug your ears.
It's been 20 years, guys. Yeah. Come on now, get with the program.
Yeah, I guess there's an expiration date on that sort of thing, right? But it's the whole light world, dark world dynamic, and the fact that there was that twist in the middle. You started out trying to save the world from the big bad guy, and you wind up not saving the world from who you think is the big bad guy. He does his stuff and destroys it, and now you've got dark world.
This is on mobile now too, right?
Oh yeah, you can play it. It's on, it's on iOS.
Yeah, so it's called 3 here.
Yes, actually, on iOS, they call it 6 again. So
okay. Yeah, it's a great game, guys. Definitely go out, check that out.
So, what are some of your? I mean, we talked about Final Fantasy VI. What got you into gaming? Like, what made you want to be a programmer? Is that your official title? I'm sorry if I'm
programmer. Yes.
Okay, I'm speaking correctly. Okay.
So, and this is going to out me as the huge nerd that I am.
Which is fine on this show.
Yeah, dude, you're in great company.
Awesome. When I was in 4th grade. In elementary school, I was tasked with, I was the kid who had to type in the password for the math tutor program.
Okay.
And as old as I am, what that meant was there was a teletype, loud printing thing that I had to plug a phone into an acoustic modem, dial a phone number, and then I typed a password. And I was just, randomly chosen for that, like you'd be chosen to be a line leader going to the bathroom or whatever. And I discovered that if I typed the password wrong, that it gave me a prompt that said, type guest if you don't have a password. So I typed guest, and on that math tutor machine were some really simple games. And I played Lunar Lander. You type in an angle and a thrust, and it tells you whether or not you blew up or landed.
Or whether you landed or whether you crashed.
And just that one little thing hooked me on gaming, hooked me on computers, made me want to be a programmer, made me want to write games for a living. I was completely...
You were hooked.
That was it.
That was it. That's all it took.
Very cool.
So since then, everything I've taught myself and everything that I've done has been moving towards getting into gaming, and since then, that's been where I am.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah,
Titanfall was
awesome.
a hit.
We covered it on our show on episode 2, I think.
Like I tried to review it.
We fell in love with it.
It burnt my Xbox.
Really glad to hear that.
Yeah.
It broke your Xbox?
It broke my Xbox, because I have the retro 360.
Hopefully not because you threw the controller across the room.
I had one of the old bricks that, were, the defective model. And then I went out, because I had to get it again, I bought a brand new Xbox. I think it was Xbox number 8 because I broke it.
Yeah.
I actually broke 8 Xboxes now.
They're disposable, you throw them away, you get another one.
Yeah, but your brother Phil D loves the game.
Absolutely.
Loves the game.
I wish he was here because he'd be totally gushing.
Oh, he would geek out at you so much
now. We have something on the show where we have guys that are just masters of a domain. Like video games or steampunk. Yeah. And he is the video game guy, and he came on the show and we did almost a whole show just on your game.
Well, I love to hear that because we tried really hard to make it fun, and we tried to do a lot of things that a lot of us didn't start out being big shooter fans, and a lot of us know people who would probably like the game if they didn't really think that they were just going to log in and get destroyed over and over again.
It's not that though.
It's not.
It's so intuitive, and it's so.
And we added the AI to give people who aren't like super Twitch gamers something that they could do and feel like they contribute. And so I have like my wife is a huge fan. She's like Gen 6 or something now, and had never played a multiplayer shooter before in her life. So she loves it. She's addicted to it. And I know a lot of people that are. But by the same token, we've managed to sort of keep the attention of the Twitchy programmers and the people that
oh yeah, absolutely.
It's good. It's good stuff.
It's a massive success for the game.
And it's
really happy with how we're gonna do that.
I truly believe it's in the world of shooters. It's totally unique.
Thank you.
I mean, because you're just not shooting. You have this big damn robot that just falls from sky.
You almost cussed.
Yeah,
I can tell.
I'm trying not to.
You almost cussed.
It's just in that. I remember I talked about it on the show. You're playing it and you're just okay. It's a shooter. When I first turned it on, and then like 3 minutes in, I think it is. It's like your Titan is ready. And I remember because I'm the kind of guy that like saves the last potion because you don't want to use it. I didn't know you keep getting it because I didn't read any instruction manuals. So I saved it to a little bit later in the game. I'm like, I just want to use it. And it falls. And I'm just like, oh shit. Shit got real. And it's on.
I have to give super props to our sound guys because that little crackling, popping noise that it makes as it comes down through the atmosphere, I love that. I love it every time I hear it.
Oh, it's an amazing game. Props to you and your guys' team over at Respawn Entertainment. Absolutely love what you guys are doing. We're looking forward for more stuff from
anything you guys put out now, we're going to be paying. We're going to be paying very close attention.
We're going to send our press release so you can start sending the stuff to us.
Oh yeah, totally.
Sure.
You know,
I'll help you guys out.
Yeah. But yeah, totally cool stuff. Thank you for being on the show. We were really hoping we could get you on.
Before we release him, I was told by Tammy Coxon to ask you about the working gravity into the Chinese version of the game, or
how ragdoll physics,
or ragdoll physics, or something.
Oh
yeah, she told us to ask you about it.
She did that so that I would be angry and upset. Right?
Yeah, she said apparently it was a task.
It was a task. Yeah, one of the things that I did on Titanfall is I made physics run fast enough for us to ship the game with.
Okay.
And, we used the source engine, and one of the things that we inherited from that was there was a physics system, and it's a great physics system. It works well. It worked well for like Half-Life 2 and that sort of thing, but. for our game, we needed to multi-thread things so heavily. That system was written in the 90s when there was one CPU and very little memory, and so it was sort of organized completely around that. So for me to optimize it, I had to rip out a giant chunk of things and rewrite it all, and it just made me twitchy. It took me months that I could have been doing other things. And
why are
really
Raydell physics different in different countries? Is that what she was explaining?
Yeah.
Well, that was part of it. So it turns out
some can't be shown, or
yeah, it turns out that, and this is actually Japan is one of the territories like this. It turns out that it's okay to have corpses fall down realistically, but they can't wake up again. If you shoot them, they can't twitch, and they can't wake up whenever. If you throw a grenade, they can't wake up and fly away.
Okay.
I don't know why, but that's how it is.
So when they fall, they have to stay where they are, and they can't
They have
move
to
again.
fall. They can roll or be realistic. They can do that.
As soon as they stop.
As soon as they stop, they have to be stopped.
Huh, that's odd.
And yeah.
So
there's
you glue them to the ground once they come to his rest?
Yeah.
Is that essentially what you do? You just put a command?
I just made it so that they're physics objects, and normally when you chuck a grenade near them, they pick up the force and fly away, or at least fly a little bit. But I detect the locale. If it's in Japan, they don't.
So in the American version, they still fly around.
They fly, or they go all over the place.
So what you're saying is, an American version of Titanfall, the bodies are everywhere, which is cool, right?
Yes.
So you throw a grenade and they go everywhere.
The Japanese version of Titanfall.
The Japanese version, they don't move anymore.
Yes.
That is insane. I did not know this. So I didn't know they do different things.
Yeah,
like that.
there's locale rules for what you can and can't show, and the one that everybody knows is that in Germany you can't show realistic human blood. So
I did not know that.
I didn't know that, actually.
Okay. If you look at German versions of games, a lot of the times either they change the characters into zombies and make them have green blood, or
do they know it's not
know.
blood, that it's just pixels?
Oh yeah. Locale rules are interesting.
Just rules, man. It's like FCC compared to what they can say in Canada. They can get away with some
That's
stuff.
exactly right.
There you go.
Because you can say bad words over in Europe, and we can't say them here. But they can't see blood, and we're just like, hey, give me more blood.
I had a friend of mine who studied abroad in England, and she was in London, and she'd be bored watching TV, and like they got into some pretty heavy, hardcore sexual educational stuff, but it was still very, very sexual stuff we could not get away with here. And you would not think that being England,
It's very interesting.
The world is a wide place. And
yes, which we are learning here at DetCon 1, talking to Saladin Ahmed and Diana Cho.
Well, I just want to say it was a pleasure having you.
Yeah,
we were
thank you so much for being
breath
here.
that you could make it down here. He actually, the reason why we couldn't have him on earlier and we went a little bit over on this show is because you were just doing a panel?
I was doing a panel on world building for gaming with John Scalzi and Carrie Patel. And
wait a second, Scalzi's here?
Yeah, he's here.
And Lucas we lost Lucas for a minute. He just geeked out.
This is Lucas yesterday, and I didn't know this at the time. Yesterday I did a teen panel, teens talking about games they love.
Wait a second.
And his daughter was there.
Let him keep talking. Really?
Do you know John Scalzi is?
I do now. I met him. Just
I'm done here. I'm gonna go find him. No.
Lucas, tell the Rack Army who John Scalzi is.
Are they waving at me?
Hi, hello.
Oh, that's
John
I don't know what
Scalzi!
you look like. That's why. Why
Oh my
you come
God,
on
his ears
over
are
here?
burning. You don't have to. And he's with his daughter. Okay, wow.
He's
Whatever,
literally able to
whatever.
go hunt him down now. I'm not even kidding. I did not know he was here.
Lucas wants to run right now. He wants to run
You know,
away.
I don't really nerd out about a lot of people, but Scalzi is actually one of my favorite writers.
And he's working on games.
What games is he allowed to, do you know what? He's not here to say, just go ahead and tell us.
It's a game called Midnight Star, because he was talking about it at the panel. I'm pretty sure I can mention it.
There we go.
Yeah,
Cool.
Midnight Star. It's coming up.
There you go. You may have heard it here first on the Rack, folks.
We gotta wrap it up because we just hit our minute mark.
Yeah,
I
and
just
then
want
not
to
to
say
mention
thank you for
that.
coming out. Thank you for, Titanfall. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
I'm
Seriously.
so glad you can make it.
We'll give
Thank
you our
very much.
information
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
we can exchange emails.
Sure. I didn't bring any, but I have business.
Okay.
I'll write down
Oh,
my
we got you over there. Jomar will take care of you. Jomar,
Well,
our assistant
there's
producer
business cards in
extraordinaire.
my black pack.
Yeah. And your backpack?
Black pack. It's the black one.
Okay.
There's different colored packs I have.
All right.
Oh, but
Okay.
yeah, thank you so
Thank
much.
you
I think
so
we're
much.
getting ready to wrap up.
Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, absolutely. We are here at DetCon 1 in the Renaissance Center Saturday morning, depending on how early this gets up. If you see it, and we're here
Well, video's
tomorrow.
not going to get up. Video takes
Well,
a
I mean,
while.
sorry, it's audio. When audio gets up.
If I don't forget.
But yeah, like you did with the last show.
Yeah.
And
This has been a great convention.
Yeah.
I can speak from just walking around here yesterday with our associate producer, Jomar, that we had a blast. I didn't have any expectations because I didn't know what I was getting myself in.
Yeah, we were completely new coming into
sci-fi
this.
convention.
And it's knocked it out of the park. Really great, really great.
Fun.
Obviously, the guests we've just had here. This is just a portion. This is just the tip of the iceberg of the awesome people that are here at DetCon 1.
And a lot of that's attributed to Tammy Coxon.
Tammy Coxon, you knocked it out of the park. She's the chair, and her
volunteers and chair people. So
Absolutely
Tammy
phenomenal.
Coxon and the DetCon 1 organizational team. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. This was great.
Thank you, Tammy
Thank you
Coxon,
for the invite.
bringing us here. My name's
For
Lucas.
being on the show a couple of weeks ago. I'm Conrad. You just saw episode 15 of season 2 of The Rack Show, which you can find on therackshow.com. Next week, we're going to be back at home at the Phoenix Cafe in Hazel Park, which you can find at the Phoenix Cafe, hazelpark.com. For therackshow.com, Lucas, I'm Conrad. Thank you so much for listening.
We're out of here, guys.
Hey, can I take a picture? And they're like, yeah. And then I go, I voiced that character, and then all of a sudden their face just goes,
Get some sleep. Shut up for a while. You'll be fine.
I just got tips from the pros.
I do it in my badass voice, which is where
Okay,
I
badass
just
voice.
talk low like this. Everything I see is like this.